Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Fuel Lift Thrive podcast. I am super excited. I have a special guest with me today, Megan Leigh, Coach Megan Leigh. She's joining me for an exciting episode, and I'm honored to have her on the podcast. And she's going to be sharing with us her journey through bodybuilding, competing, and how she made her way back to health from the world of bodybuilding shows. And we'll talk a little bit about healthy lifestyle, but mostly how to pursue fat loss but still stay healthy. And also we're going to touch on things like fitness and how it looks different on everybody. So welcome, Megan. How you doing today?
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm doing great. And it's a really passionate topic. So I really appreciate you giving me the floor to share.
Yeah. So tell us, basically, I'm going to give it to you. Tell us who you are and how you became a coach, just a little bit of a background on who you are.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I grew up as an active kid. I did swim team, horseback riding, ballet, tap, jazz. I was very busy. My therapist was like, "Did you ever sleep?" I was like, "Good question." I did love to be active. My mom wanted me to find what I was really passionate about, which ended up being soccer and music. But so when I went to college is when I found I was going to be a park and rec major, like a park ranger. Wow. And then which is completely different career path. I was really passionate about like trees and birds and outdoors and just wildlife. And then I took an intro to nutrition class, and it really just hit me. I was like, wow, this is what I really want to learn more about. Because I had been already trying to figure out how to eat healthy and lose weight in high school, and kind of developed some eating disorder tendencies early on as age 15 and 16. And going to school and getting my degree in nutrition was actually really helpful. It did help. It didn't really get rid of the disordered behaviors by any means, which got exacerbated later on in bodybuilding, which we'll talk about. But it did help me see through some of I understood carbohydrates and their importance. I understood more about food and how it can fuel me as an athlete, which I did not have before getting my degree in nutrition. So it really did help me and inspire me to talk to others, help them with their form. And I literally just wanted to help people have more success. Mm-hmm. And that's literally just been, I see myself as a wounded warrior. When I get taken down by something, I want to get back up and then help others maybe not fall as hard. Yeah. And that's why I'm excited to share this journey. So, I grew up into fitness. I always loved it, but I was teased a lot growing up. I was bullied a lot. I had headgear. I had braces. I played the violin. So there's a lot of reasons they picked on me. And I think that is some of the root of this disordered behavior. I really wanted to prove myself that I was worthy. And I think a lot of that as women, and growing up in the late 90s and 2000s, there was a lot of a lot of really, really thin was the in, straight hair, so there's a lot of pressure, the low rise jeans. So it was just, I think a lot of us are dealing with the aftermath of what the magazines and medias and MTV were putting out. So that was what I grew up with. But I was mostly centered on functional fitness most of my career, which I think is what we'll circle back around with at the end when we talk about body neutral fitness. Yes. And that is just celebrating what your body is capable of doing. There's so many awesome reasons to work out. And most of my career was focused on improving balance, improving flexibility, working with clients and doing really good things. But I do think I personally always wanted to look a certain way. Mm-hmm. And that's why bodybuilding was so attractive to me, is I really thought it was I'm very competitive. I love a goal. And I had it on my radar. Yeah. But it wasn't until one of my clients started competing. She was a group fitness client. I managed the gym, so it wasn't a one-on-one. And that's why I decided to do it. I said, well, if you're doing it, I've always wanted to, so we're going to do it together. And that's kind of how it got started. Yeah.
Interesting. That's so interesting. I really relate with, being a 90s kid, because that's pretty much the same for me. I'm, 35, and that was when we'd all collect those magazines like Cosmo Girl and those teen magazines, and they were so bad, weren't they? Like, just now, if you would read them now, I mean, probably they're still just as bad, but I feel like they just really screwed with our heads and just gave us such unhealthy expectations on body image, on beauty, on growing up, and like even on relationships. It was interesting how, there was always had this column where people would like write in questions about how to like get the guy to like you, and there was just so much shit and crap.
Yeah. Now, if we really think about it, you're like, whoa.
What?
Because we didn't have our phones, we weren't glued to our phones, but we were still getting influenced by media. Exactly. I didn't have Google, so I wasn't looking up a diet. But I did the Smart Start diet or the Special K diet, where where I did that for breakfast and lunch for a reasonable, sensible portion. Yeah. And that's why down my health career, I found an MLM company.
Okay.
That swapped out meals for shakes. And it made so much sense to me at the time for a couple of reasons. One, because of my history with the Special K diet. And I was like, oh yeah, Nutrisystem, Slim Fast, like there's just like endless programs like this. Yeah. And when I was managing that boot camp gym, I saw people spending $169 a month. Mm-hmm. And they worked out really hard, but they weren't getting the results because they weren't dialing in nutrition. And I just wanted to make it easy for them. So I just said, just don't eat, just have a shake. So I came from a good place, but because I was in my own disordered viewpoints.
Of course.
And so we'll talk about that. Like, how do we protect? Like, I look back at what I did. There's so much cringe-worthy stuff that I put on my story, blogs that I posted, because I fell, even with a degree in food and nutrition, even with years and certifications out the wazoo, I still fell into disordered behaviors, body dysmorphia, and it came through in my coaching, whether I wanted it to or not. And when I went into therapy for eating disorder, in 2020, I've had a hard talk with with my whole MLM team. I stopped, I broke up with the entire company. I've just changed and dropped and shifted my identity so much. I see things so differently now. And, but I knew in my heart, I really believed in what I was doing when I was doing it. And I had the best intentions. So I have to forgive past self, forgive me. I used to promote detoxes, babe. And, I loved your post yesterday. Like, I know. So it's like, I have to forgive past self. So if you follow me on Instagram and if you see any of my sass, guys, I'm calling out my old self. If there's anyone I'm calling out, it is 5 years ago me. Okay. So please, who is she talking about?
Yeah. It's so true.
How far I've come.
Exact same. Like, I so relate to that because, and I think that's why I really wanted you on the podcast, because we were, our stories are so similar. And it's so true. Like, I've also been there when I started my journey, before I even became a coach. I was obsessed with Beachbody and their workouts. And, I'm not going to dig too much at them because they do, they had some great programs initially in my journey. It really got me started, but I did go down the rabbit hole of overtraining and being too obsessed with getting really, really skinny. And I was at my skinniest when I was doing those programs and when I was, eating like paleo. And there's pros and cons to all these diets, but that got me into disordered eating. And then I became a vegan, and there's a whole kind of rabbit hole there as well. But what I'm really curious about is how, tell me a little bit more about what got you into bodybuilding. I know you said that, one of your clients got you started and you did it kind of together. So tell me, what was it about competing that you really wanted to pursue, and how was the whole experience? Take us through it, because I'm not a competitor. I've considered it, but I've never really gone through it. So I really want to get to know a little bit about the story behind it.
Well, yeah. So it was a client who was all in, and I was like, well, if you're going to do it, And if she can do it, I can do it. That's always been my attitude. I've never really been to the jelly bean girl. Even when I was like knee deep in my eating disorder in high school, working out 2 or 3 times a day, when I saw someone working out, I'd always say hard. I'd be like, well, if she can do it, I can do it. So I looked at all these individuals and said, well, they're doing that. Like, I want to do that. I can do that. I'm capable of doing that. And I'm actually going to win. I was decided that I was going to win, which is hilarious because I am half hippie, half sporty spice, and your girl's never worn 5-inch heels. So that was, there's a video on my Instagram. I will DM it to you where I can't believe I didn't know, I was so ignorant to how bad I was. I posted it. I hadn't gone to a posing coach. I was just like strutting, like, yeah, that was probably the hardest part of competing, is getting, like, being able to pose, being able to walk with confidence in 5-inch heels while you're also really freaking hungry, dehydrated, and like, you know, in the lights and people. So yeah, so I think there's so many really cool things that come from the experience, just like any sport, because you end up like getting to know other competitors. And while you might be on the stage with them at some point and like actually competing against them,
yeah,
most of the experience is not petty. I had a great time getting to know the other girls. We were really all in it together. We really supported each other and had lots of jokes about prep brain and just how really terrible the whole experience can be. But also, like, you know, yeah, we're together. There's a lot of togetherness in the sport. And I really did appreciate that, and getting to know the community and the posing. I was really fortunate to have one of the best posing coaches in the region of Oregon where I was living. And I worked with him every Saturday in a group posing dynamic. And so I spent $50 a class there. So competing is very expensive, cost like at least $1,000. And I didn't really know that going into it, at least. Because the little suit you're going to rent likely is $250. If you buy a suit, it'll be $800. The tan is like $200. The hotel, the registration fees, the food, the gym, you know, it just adds up. The gym gear, your little ankle bands, your little booty, you know, all the things you're going to need in your gym bag, your sups, you know. I really think the main drive for me was, I think, acceptance and worthiness. And I wanted to be seen as an elite athlete. I just wanted to be accepted because I've been bullied my whole life. I wanted to be seen as good enough instead of, and I've been driven by an external validation, learning that the hard way. Because I, you know, for some reason, you know, if someone asked me, like, what was the hardest part of competing? And I actually told her it was the mindset afterwards. It actually, for me, competing wasn't hard. I grew up, you know, studying biochemistry and orchestra and ballet, tap, and jazz. I mentioned that. I was very disciplined and I had lots of structure. So for me, bodybuilding felt very normal. I liked having, okay, I was working out 6 days a week. I was doing all this cardio. I was eating just this much. I was like literally following the rules. I want to be a good girl. So that's how I became disordered very quickly. Bodybuilding's actually very, like, if you eat the wrong food, your body's going to blow up. You're not going to look right. You're going to ruin your stage look. There's a lot of pressure.
Wow.
Especially peak week. Like, if you mess up, if you don't do what your coach says to the T, then, and that's, I don't know what it's like for other competitors. This was just my brain because I wanted to win. I didn't want to let myself down. I didn't want to be mad that I wish I would have done that, or I would have done that, because like that's how I felt. I did 90 minutes of cardio a day, listening to like motivational speaks. So I was like crying, be like, you know, whatever, like it was the music in the background, you know, just like having a moment on the Stairmaster as I was eating 89 grams of carbs per day. It was like, I look back at my stories and I see why I ended up with hypothyroidism, adrenal dysfunction, and a lot of other issues. I didn't have a coach, you know, and what I wanted to say is like the mindset afterwards as well of like normalizing eating, normalizing having a little bit of body fat, because once you get that lean and that shredded and that conditioned, and you see so many lines and so many veins and you can just see all your hard work, that's the hardest part. And I bet any competitors can be honest about the body dysmorphia as once you just get back to 16%, 18%, 19% body fat, they're all freaking out.
Which isn't even
I was like,
low. Like that's, I mean, which isn't even that
high.
Like
I know.
That's really low, isn't it? Like
I know.
for a woman anyway.
I know. They're like, I'm fluffy. I'm like, you're not fluffy. You're not fluffy. Yeah. I was like, I look back at when I was feeling so uncomfortable in my body because I was, back up a little bit at like 1,800 calories. And I still am so lean. When I look back, I'm still 35 pounds lighter than I am now. And I was still struggling with how I looked. And that's what I mean by the mindset afterwards, is just coming back into like still 20% is an athletic lean for female.
Yeah.
I looked friggin' phenomenal. Mm-hmm. I didn't have any bulging at all. Like it was just like literal, I was on hormonal birth control. So I didn't really have a cycle pulse to check on. So we didn't really have any indication on where I didn't have a period. So I didn't need to worry about that. And that I think is why I was really able to avoid checking under the hood for as long as I did, because I was suppressing a lot of stuff, right? That's what all those are, suppressive diets. So I think somehow the bodybuilding and fitness competition world has created an illusion that these people are health ambassadors in some way.
That is so true that you say that, because that's actually what I wanted to talk a little bit about, because I feel, look, I've been in the industry for, I would say 6 years, but I stepped foot in the gym when I was like 16 years old. That was the first time I went into the gym. I did, I had a personal trainer and I did like aerobics class, and then I got into the body pump and the Les Mills. So that was kind of, and then obviously beach body, and then that turned into CrossFit, and then here we are today, being a coach. But I don't know if it's because of social media. I think a large part of it is because of social media, because the fitness industry is so big on social media, and influencers, fitness influencers, fitness personalities, these people that aren't actually coaches, that don't actually work with human beings. They're just pretty and they have great genetics, but it's just thrown in our face so much, this particular look, which is extremely unrealistic. Women that are walking around with like 12% body fat all year round, taking pictures on, and videos and workout videos, and they look phenomenal. Like, I'm not gonna lie, but it puts this complete halo of this is what fitness looks like. And when you look at somebody who's in a healthier state, you think that they're overweight, or you think that they're not lean enough. And so I wanted to talk about that, because in my opinion, that's really not what fitness is about. Right. So in terms of like the bodybuilding journey that you went through, the competing, how did that affect your body image? You did say you ended up with that like negative body image and that body dysmorphia, but how did you come out of that? Like what steps did you take to sort of reverse that damage really that did to you?
So such a good question. I want to clarify for the listeners about what the journey actually looked like. So I did 4 competitions.
Okay.
Over the course of from 2017 to almost the end of 2018. So it was under 2 years. I did 4 preps. So without a proper coach and mentorship, no one would have done that. I was very new competitor. I don't have a lot of mass on me. There was no reason to diet down.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have the thing is I honestly think it's not everyone can diet down like that, but it's actually easier to diet down and get really lean than I think it is to actually grow muscle as a female and be comfortable enough with that process. That's actually harder. Bodybuilders do it. Pro bodybuilders do it. And I wasn't, it's not all bodybuilding. It was, I had already had eating disorders in high school. And I just didn't have a good mentor to kind of guide me to probably say I probably should have never stepped foot on the stage. Yeah. And then if I was going to do it, I should have hired a coach that would have ran my labs, would have done a full thyroid panel, would have been having me track my basal temperature, having some sort of indication on what's going on with my thyroid health. Someone talking to me about my binging, maybe shifting me, recommending me, outsourcing me to a eating disorder specialist. Coaches, I don't think have enough training on the red flags. It's a hard conversation to have. Like, hey, I think I need to fire you and hand you off to where we have to stay in our own lane. So I went from coach to coach to coach because I was struggling so hard after bodybuilding because my body wasn't responding anymore to the same stimuli that I had done. And so that was what really, I was so confused. I was eating 1,500 calories, which was as low as not as low as I had gone, but as low as I was willing to go anymore. I was working out 6 days a week, lifting. I was doing cardio every day, only about 30 minutes a day, but still in my world. And this was in 2020, after I'd competed many years, I was like, I'm doing everything. I was literally eating the same meal the same 6 meals every day, weighing everything out, that's what got me to I wasn't even doing if it fits your macros. I was literally doing a meal plan, eating the same meals that my coach said, because I just wanted this so bad. And I would literally have to set a timer, and I was only allowed to eat every 3 hours. And I'd be so hungry, I'd want to eat after an hour and a half. And I'd be like, you have another hour and a half. You can't eat. It was just like so rough. But I was such a good little girl. I was packing all my food in little plastic containers, just never eating any other meals outside of it. But my weight kept going up. But Poodle, my weight kept going up. Sorry, my dog's back.
That's all right.
And I was cold all the time. My hair was falling out.
Yeah.
There was lots of indications that like my check engine light was on, if you will. Mm-hmm. And I was ignoring it because nothing was more important than how I looked. Like my body ached. I had a hip injury. There were these injuries that I had occurred during my bodybuilding career, like a torn bicep tendon that I was just ignoring because I didn't want to put the brakes on. Yeah. That meant I could gain weight. And I didn't realize that if you are working out because you fear gaining weight, how healthy is that? How healthy is it? That's how I got help, is I realized I had just gotten married. I love my husband. And I realized how much of my brain was being sucked into, did I track those 6 almonds?
Oh my gosh.
That's all I thought about. I was like, I'm getting goosebumps talking about how much it took up in my brain and my life. And I just realized I want to live different life. I wanted to spend time with my husband. We were in Japan. I wanted to go out to eat. I wanted to enjoy food in Japan. I wanted to go hike Mount Fuji and not have to pack all my meals and check in with my coach, just trying to find a healthier relationship with exercise again. So I quit. I had paid $800 to work with that meal plan bodybuilder coach. I quit on that. I was like, you know what? And I enrolled in therapy, even though I took it my husband called it a sunk cost. He said, babe, don't worry about the money. I know you need help. And we went and spent more money with another coach, and she's incredible. And she's actually she's a mindset coach for bodybuilders, and she has an 8-week self-development program for competitors, and it is life-changing. I had found her before I competed, or I think if anyone wants to bodybuild, they need to get in touch with Celeste Rain-Sturck. I can send you her Instagram and the notes. She's an incredible human. She's doing great work for the body. She does Confessions of the IFBB Pro podcast, which is huge.
Oh,
so she really does. Yeah, you got to check it out. She really does bring the mindset, the awareness, good stuff to the sport. So it can be a healthier experience for individuals. And I love her to death. She changed my life. She's so fun. And she's really an incredible human. So she helped me so much with that 8-week course. And then she also had a 4-week food relationship program that I did, which was revolutionary. So I spent over $1,000 between both programs. But how much did we spend on bodybuilding, right?
Yeah.
Right. So it's so funny. On my suit, on my tan, but $1,000 for a coach changed my life. I'd spend it over again. I'd probably get so much out of it, even doing it again. She really helped me. I would say if I have 2 lessons to take away from my bodybuilding competition, I would say, the art of becoming is truly what success is. The journey of the prep was actually the fun part. Cause man, you're up on stage for 4 freaking minutes. You're maybe 5. If I'm like, wait, what? I just like literally dieted and did all that cardio like for 24 weeks. It's done. Prejudging's done. Good luck. Hopefully you got the placement you were looking for. It like blows my mind. And you're just like literally up there, basically naked, getting compared. It's like crazy. The actual experience that you train for, to me, it just blew my mind. And it actually felt pretty empty up there. It didn't really feel like what I was seeking, actually. Like even when I won, not even when I was getting judged, but later on when I won, I was standing up there with the trophy, with the sword, and just feeling like, okay, so that was it, you know. And that's when it really hit me. I called my mom and was like disappointed about it. And that's when I knew I was just like, my energy was in the wrong place. If I was on stage, I want to be because I like really did some impact in the world, not because I like starved myself for sport and like have a gorgeous physique.
It's so amazing, like this, just the whole journey, because like I follow some really amazing competitors, and they're like the top of their class, and they're doing it pretty, again, like I'm not living with them, so I don't know, but
Right.
from what you see on the outside, it seems like they're doing it, the right way and stuff, and they're at the top of their class and whatever. But there's something that still just doesn't sit right with me with competing. And it just, I know it's a sport, and I know that it's popular, and I know that it takes incredible amounts of discipline and dedication and commitment, and it really does change people, but it just doesn't seem like, I think that's the thing, right? That I think that the end goal, like getting up on there, is not really what it's about. It's about how you become and who you become in the process, and what you learn. And also, perhaps if people that are listening, that are interested, most of my listeners are not on that level anyway, but in the sense that, it's not just about competing, like even just getting to that level of leanness, and even pursuing such a drastic restrictive plan to get there. Is it really worth it? Like, why are you doing it? Why are we pursuing this unnatural level of how our body looks? Our body was never meant to be that lean. Women's bodies, even men's bodies to be fair, but like women's bodies in particular, like our bodies are not meant to be that lean. They're not meant to be put through that kind of stress, and the repercussions, even if you try and do it well, there are still some negative repercussions, even if you have a coach, even if you're doing it well. So yeah, your journey is just incredible and fascinating to me, and really that's why I wanted you on here, to really share that, because you kind of been at both ends, right? You've been super lean, and then you've gone through your own health struggles and your own health journey. So what was the step to come back? How did you heal? Like, I know you said you did the course and you worked with the therapist, but in terms of food, I'm more curious. Like, did you go about reverse dieting? I know you talk a lot about that on your page. So yeah, just kind of tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I certainly wish I went about it. I shouldn't say, I'm like, I'm trying to let go of the could, would, should. I definitely have some judgment in my healing, because I did not actually know about nutrition periodization yet, really. I hadn't learned about a reverse diet at all. I wish some of my coaches had mentioned it to me. It probably would have changed my life, but I just went all in actually with Celeste. I stopped tracking, started eating whatever I wanted. Which definitely was freeing and appropriate for me at the time. And it contributed to a little bit of weight gain, not as much as after getting COVID and a back injury has, but I was terrified and miserable of what I look back and now I'm like, oh, I wish I looked like that. So it's hilarious. But while I was recovering, I definitely felt fat growing on my body, and it was crazy. I felt it on my triceps. I felt it on my stomach. I felt it on my love handles. I could just literally feel it. And my husband was like, babe, you're not fat. You just have fat now. He was like trying to help me like understand this difference. But I think I was in Japan, and it was just really nice just to let loose and like go eat at these restaurants we were in the restrictions, and they got lifted. So we were able to go like to the coast in Japan and like kind of go adventure. And I just was able to eat ice cream or just try a bowl of, just eat out and not stress or track it. And that I think was more important to me. And I really wasn't worried about the quality of the food or what was in the food or any of that stuff, which eventually caught up to me because I had a thyroid issue, I had adrenal issues, and that stuff does matter. Toxins matter. And that's where the shift I had to make down the road, because I realized while I appreciate food freedom, these foods aren't serving me, and I need, like, eating out all the time isn't good for my health. I know that. I appreciate. So I just needed to go through that. I needed the freedom. I was recently married. I just wanted to have life that was so not what a competitor did. I literally would bring food in Tupperwares at the mandatory fun events as a military spouse, get a plate and dump the food that I'd already pre-weighed out on a scale, and then eat with everybody. And I just was like tired of doing that. Like, people are like, this girl's a little bit out there. I'm like, yeah, but I look great. And I was like literally forcing it and like suppressing. And so yeah, the freedom was good. The weight gain was challenging. I actually don't think I was as prepared for it as I like, not that was Celeste's fault, but we didn't really talk too much about weight gain by any means. And I was kind of on my own anyway. She wasn't like helping me with nutrition. It was just like a guided coaching program. And that wasn't part of the course. So with my clients, I would kind of have an understanding of what they're currently eating, and we would slowly increment and slowly add food back in, and make sure that we're not insulin resistant if they've been too low carb for too long. I mean, there's actually some people aren't ready to go right into a reverse diet, actually, and it could be really bad for them because there's just a lot of things we need to check off before doing it. And I didn't necessarily do that for myself, which is okay, because there's so many other things that I needed just to break through. I ended up finding Sam Miller Science and worked with one of his coaches in the fall of 2020. And that's where I learned a little bit more about nutrition periodization. And I ended up just finishing up his mentorship in FM, functional nutrition, metabolism specialization, or whatever it is. And it was very informative, very overwhelming, lots of information about thyroid and the endocrine system and all the stuff that we're not taught as coaches, because it does impact fat loss. Is such an intricate and intense process, as we know. And because of the hormonal birth controls and the chronic dieting and the metabolic adaptations that I had placed upon myself, I really did have to learn how perceptions, like how I think my behaviors with food influence my physiology. And that's what I have to teach my clients now too. It's like, there's so many things that influence your physiology, which are what you want physical results. Mm-hmm. But there's so many things that go into that equation. So now, with my clients, there's all these biometric markers we're looking at before we even attempt a fat loss phase.
Yeah.
There's all these things we want green flags for. And some of them fight me on it. And I'm like, look, there's plenty of coaches that probably won't fight you on this, but I'm going to, because you don't want, like, I'm going through a rebound right now. I had to gain 35 pounds. My adrenals, my health, and my symptoms and my insomnia. I mean, I would never want my clients to go through the health crap that I placed upon myself because of the insane restrictions and lack of guidance and mentorship that I had. So again, it's not bodybuilding's fault. There's a lot of equations. I want to be clear about that I just had a lack of mentorship. And I didn't even know, like, sometimes you don't know what you don't know until you somehow know. And that was my journey.
Yeah, no, of course. And I kind of relate to that as well, because, I've been there as well with my journey, and I have changed my entire approach to coaching in the last, I would say, year and a half. And I very much now believe in really making sure that your metabolism is primed before you go into a fat loss phase, even if you do need to lose weight quickly now, tomorrow. We know clients, they're all so impatient, right? When they come on board and they want to go straight into a fat loss phase. But I mean, who hasn't yo-yo dieted? Like every single person that I've spoken to,
Correct.
friends, family, clients, like we all have yo-yo dieted. We've all done crazy diets, restriction in the past. So it's not really about who has or hasn't done it. It's about how much have you done of that, because it impacts so much at your metabolism, your metabolic history, and how you've, basically your whole life's experience with food has, like you said, affects your physiology, and you need to really be in a good place before you go into this fat loss phase. And I've changed my whole approach as well, and that's pretty much something that I never used to. I didn't know about reverse dieting. I discovered it through Lane Norton, and
Mm-hmm.
and his wife Holly Baxter, and she's also a competitor, and she's actively competing, and she's always educating her followers on it. And it's just interesting because there is still, I feel, there's so much work to do, because even though the fitness industry is evolving, I still feel like it's something that we are going to forever be drilling into people's heads because of the way we've grown up, because of this, how fucked up the industry has been up until now in serving us, the diet industry, diet culture. And that's a whole kind of, rabbit hole that we could go into for another time. But I think what I wanted to know a little bit about, kind of, what do you believe women need to have a really healthy relationship with food?
That is a huge question. I
I know,
think,
right?
I
Not
think,
simple.
no, it's great because I think it's more about we're so used to looking outside. Like, what does this plan say I should do? What does that dietitian say I should do? What's that person doing? And instead of learning, like, intentional nourishment, like understanding. So I think if you learn about your physiology, like just human physiology, I think education, if you learn about nutrition and you learn about nutrition and fitness, you can then protect yourself from diet culture being able to pull one over on you.
Yeah.
Like if you see a sugar detox, be like, wait a minute, every cell in my body needs sugar as a fuel. So detoxing from sugar, I was like, you'd have to start to see through some of these taglines and be
Yeah.
able to ask more questions. So I think there's a lot of wellness and fitness influencers out there who have a highly disordered relationship with food, and they promote their disordered like beliefs as wellness. We already said that was us in the past.
Yeah.
So we have to be very careful when we're looking outside of ourselves. Like, what is she eating? Because we've heard, hopefully everyone now, because there is this growing trend in the fitness industry. Like, we can't eat and all work out the same and look the same. Like, that's seeming to be catching on, which I'm really happy to hear. So I think just really honoring this innate intuition. What I teach my clients is a concept called intentional nourishment. And it's a fusion of, like, we have knowledge, and sometimes they need knowledge from me. They need to learn more about macronutrients, micronutrients, whatever, all that. Some of them have a really solid base. And then we need to understand our hunger cues and stop suppressing them. And sometimes we don't have them because we're living on stress hormones. So we have to work through the fact that we have just suppressed our appetite and denied our appetite so long we don't even know how to honor it. And then also fullness cues, honoring fullness cues, and learning how to navigate cravings and not denying cravings. And it's like a compass. Like, we've got knowledge, we've got hunger cues, we've got feelings, and we've got cravings. And we need to learn how to navigate all of these things intentionally, and knowing, like, I want to nourish myself. So how can I nourish? Like, I love the word nourish. I feel like healthy got hijacked. I eat healthy. Like, what does that mean? Leaves, lettuce. Like, one of my friends DM'd me, "You're going to be so proud of me. I'm doing the Candida cleanse." I was like, "Do you follow me?" I was like, "I am not proud. I'm actually deeply concerned.
Yeah.
Can you hop on a call right now?" Like, but that seemed healthy. I was like, so again, the word healthy to me, I think, has gotten hijacked by diet culture. When I teach my clients, when I just say nourish, it just feels Do you hear it? Do you feel it? Like, oh, I want to nourish myself. Like that just feels totally different. And that looks different to everybody. Because sometimes like food, like, and I teach my clients something called yum gross, not a technical term. But when you eat something that might taste good, but doesn't feel good later, we call that yum gross. And that might be like when you eat out and it's got canola oil or some sort of food. So that's how that's intuitive. I'm like, you know what? Like I learned some foods don't make me feel good. And I'm going to give, that's not disordered. And in therapy, we approve that, hey, if you don't feel good eating that food, it's okay to not eat it. So this is, again, intentional nourishment and honoring yum gross, letting yourself try something. If it doesn't feel good, that is that contrast. Like, oh, I didn't like how I felt. That'll be my motive to maybe make a different decision. I might forget or I might choose. This food's going to give me yum gross, but it's going to be worth it. And like sometimes you choose to eat the pizza, even if it might make you feel like kind of gross, but you want to eat it with your friends.
Yeah.
That is still just what I mean by intentional nourishment. Like I'm choosing to eat this food, even though I know it's not the best quality pizza and cheese and it might make me feel really crappy tomorrow morning, but I can't wait just to be with my friends and just eat this yummy pizza right now.
Yes.
And just let that matter most, like memories over macros. You know, so I think for women to have a healthy relationship with food is learning how to support their thyroid, their adrenals. Do they want to have babies someday? Like understanding their family plan, understanding their future goals and where they want to take themselves, understanding that I think is such a better drive. That's kind of what body neutral fitness is. Like we work out because we want to not just change our bodies, but we want to see how strong we can be. We want to see how fast we can run with our kids. There's all these other drivers behind the workout. And that's the same thing with fitness. Like, I mean, nutrition, like I want to eat breakfast because I realize when I skip breakfast, then I overeat at night. I'm just so freaking hungry and I don't like that feeling. I just don't like how that feels. Yeah. So I've realized if I'm proactive and eat a small breakfast, I just tend to like feel better throughout the day. And like, that's a way better intrinsic motivation than I'm eating this way because I want to change my body or whatever it is. Like it's, I think that's the best way for women to shift is just to nourish themselves with movement, with sunlight, with food, with words, self-talk. You know, I'm really working on that.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that approach, Megan. I feel, you know, that we are shifting, that the industry is shifting towards, you know, really that, you know, holistic, but not in a crunchy way, right? In a more really deep, nourishing on a cellular level, mental, emotional, everything all together. And I think that's really something that we really truly need. And I love this body neutral fitness because I don't know if you're aware, but like I'm not a proponent of healthy at every size. I'm not against it, but I'm not for it. I'm just like, you know, that's just not my vibe. It's not how what I believe in. I'm not an anti-diet nutrition coach. However, that being said, I do believe that everybody, literally everybody, should strength train. Strength training is not just for weight loss. You can pursue health and fitness without wanting to change your body. I believe that, you know, through and through, and I believe in body autonomy. Like what you want to do with your body is your choice. But I don't really prescribe so much as this narrative that, you know, you can be morbidly obese and healthy. That is just something that I personally don't think that is, you know, really healthy. But that being said, this body neutral fitness really, when I saw it on your page, I was like, oh my God, we have to talk about this. I love that. And what you said is so true because it's so much more than just weight loss. Like, and I think that the health and fitness industry, obviously people come in with this idea that they want to lose weight. And I've worked with clients where we've started, you know, that was the goal, but then it just became something bigger and more beautiful and it just incredible because they discovered, you know, that they could be so strong and the things that they could do and pursue, right? And I'm sure it's the same with you, with your clients.
Yeah, I mean, I want to go back to like, I also don't relate to healthy at every size or anti-diet or the body positivity communities. And when I was on Clubhouse, I was hosting a lot of talks. One about like I'm not really pro intermittent fasting anymore. And there's a lot of people that probably shouldn't intermittent fast. And we don't talk about those groups of people enough. So I just wanted to bring awareness about those people who need a disclaimer. I met a lot of people from those communities in these chats. I used to talk about how the clean eating mindset is really damaging to our health. Like that was a big talk I did in Clubhouse, like weekly. So I really wanted to like hammer. I really do hate the phrase clean eating. I'm like, okay, so were you eating dirty? Like what's eating dirty? Like, and I get it because I understand. I've talked about yum gross. And yum gross, like, but that might be closer to clean eating. Like you want to eat so you don't feel gross. Like I understand the concept fully, I do, but I just think semantics are important. And when I found body neutral fitness, I just loved it because I was like, yes, like that I can relate to. Like I want to respect my body. I want my clients to respect their body. I want us to stop and redirect negative body talk. Yes, I want us to eat and exercise more intuitively. I want to honor our biofeedback. I want to honor resting, honor our cycles. I want to acknowledge negative self-talk and not only just redirect it, but like work on reframing it. And just like you said, like clients may come on board that want to lose weight, but once they realize that they can like have more confidence and that sense of purpose and they have more stamina and they can hike better and they're more coordinated, they almost fell, but they didn't, and they have better mood and like their labs come back better. And there's all these things that start to build. They realize that like, hey, you know, this body neutral fitness thing is a lot more fun. And I'm actually getting a lot more done when I'm focusing on like my morning routine and my bedtime routine and all of these little habits that my clients kind of smirk at first. And I'm like, nah, because again, success is the journey. So as we're doing all these little teeny habits because habits are what build the routine is what creates consistency, and consistency is what, you know, gets us to the goal. And once we're driven by these little teeny things that actually help us feel good, it takes it from being a chore. Like fitness and nutrition are no longer feeling like a chore. It just feels like a gift to yourself because it's coming from that different intention. Intention is so key. And I think that's why I love body neutral fitness, because it's not about like loving your body, but it's like, wow, like, you know, my thighs like are the biggest they've ever been right now. And whenever I feel a negative self moment or a word about them, I then think about how great it is to have thighs and the fact that I have legs at all and that I can exercise and that actually my back pain's a lot better and actually my knees feeling a lot better and actually like I'm getting stronger. And that's called body appreciation. And then in the research, positive body image is actually cultivated through appreciating your body, not through weight loss. And that's what I realized so much through my journey is even when I was my leanest, I wasn't satisfied. I've nitpicked her apart and I look at her now and I'm like, gee, she's tiny. I'm tiny.
I can
tiny.
Literally put myself in there. Like I had the exact same reaction. I was kind of looking through some of my old photos, maybe about 7 years ago, 8 years ago, and I was so much skinnier. And at the time I thought I was fat, and it's like I was 12 kilos less than I am today. You know, that's almost pretty much what, 25 pounds, 30 pounds. I'm not even sure, but it's crazy. Like it's not, body image is not about your body. Like it's just so much more than that. And it's about this, it's unattainable, like unrealistic expectations that we put on ourselves. I love this body neutral fitness, and I'm thinking, you know, I pretty much fall into the same camp. I just never had a label for it. And
I just wanted a label, I think almost just for marketing too, because I actually wanted to attract clients that feel this vibe. Like I'm not against aesthetics either, but like some of my clients who are really itching for it and aching for it, it's still for the wrong reasons. And I'm like, look, again, like just, you know, it's really still a real tough line to walk. And that's why I went through HMCC, the Health Mindset coach certification with Coach Casey Joe, which is Sam Miller's Science's girlfriend. So I've taken both their certifications. They're incredible though. That certification talks a lot about core foundation concepts in psychology. And that's what I knew I needed. I knew if I was going to take a client that wanted to go into a diet phase and tell her no, not for 6 months, I better be a queen at some psychology, at helping her understand why that's the best decision for her, or she'll walk. And I knew that that's what my clients, my coaches weren't able to do for me. And that's where I knew I'm not a psychologist. I'm not that, but I can really be. And my clients who go to therapy and also work with me, they're the ones that they gain so much. They get like really good insights from me, and then they go to therapy and talk about, why did trying on that pair of pants that didn't fit mean that I've lost all my progress? When just yesterday we were talking about how much stronger you are, how you have healthy poops, like how are we defining progress? You also hired me to change your body, so maybe those pants just aren't going to fit anymore because your badunkadunk is growing. And so there's like, like you could try on a pair of pants and they don't fit because your butt's huge and you're stoked, or you could try on a pair of pants and that's what really will fix body image is shifting the mindset, improving self-talk, building self-confidence, and really cultivating body appreciation. And it just takes time. It's an agreement every day. And some days, actually, there's some really cool data where depending on where you are in your cycle, it seems like luteal phase, like week 3 and week 4. It's also when we will have a worse body image because we're also retaining more water, we're more bloated, so we don't feel our best. And that's like makes sense. I'm like, well, you are, and we don't recover as well. It's just the more we understand we are cyclical in nature as females, and we need to stop fighting our physiology and start honoring our physiology. Know that most research in health and fitness is based on men anyways. Most supplements research is done on men. It's like literally heartbreaking when you look at it's not until 2013 that they start bringing in women in some of these researches, which wasn't that long ago.
Crazy.
Mind blowing.
Yeah.
Mind blowing.
Can't believe that. Women are not small men.
Correct. And we're learning that the hard way. And that's, I think, what's so cool about you. And I've seen your journey and just like getting to know you before we push record and some of the similarities we've gone through. I just think that's really, really honorable, like to go through hardships and still show up every day for our job and show up for our clients. And I tell them all the time, I'm like, I am literally walking this walk with you. Okay. Like we are literally the same. Like and it's sometimes hard to hold space for them on a hard day for myself, which is why I also have therapy, so I can have someone hold space for me. So I really think that if there's anyone listening to this that is, I just really want to stop demonizing therapy. And, I feel like it's getting less and less taboo. I want to really support therapy is the best decisions I've ever made in my life. I have so much more tools and awareness and control over myself and my life and my emotions. And I'm not perfect, but I see growth all the time. And that is really empowering. And it translates into all other areas of my life. So I wouldn't have gotten where I am post eating disorder recovery, post competition, if it wasn't for qualified therapists. But then that's also why I found certifications that would empower me to have those difficult conversations with my clients, to really help them never fall down as hard as I did, or, really just wreck their thyroid and their adrenals like I did, and ignore. Like I just did a post on posture, and I want to really start talking about posture because I ignored my back, which I just had an exaggerated anterior pelvic tilt from bodybuilding, right? From the posing. And I'd really jacked up my fascia on my right side from all the twisting from the posing. And I just wasn't doing enough recovery work. I just really didn't train. It's not fun to foam roll. It's not fun to go to physical therapy. I wasn't doing that side of the athleticism for longevity that maybe I didn't have time for. I couldn't afford, whatever story I was telling myself. And that's where I really hurt myself with a back injury just recently. Even with all the knowledge I have, I still was driven from vanity a little bit, from aesthetics. And that's where I think it's important with body neutral fitness is to know we don't want to build strength on dysfunction. So if we have some pattern some issues with our movement patterns, no matter what your goal is, whether it's to like go do a race or go exercise, like we've got to really make sure we're addressing these foundational things, just like metabolic health. I was like, well, your calves are really tight, your ankles are rolling out, you've got an exaggerated forward lean. I don't really think we should be squatting too heavy right now, my friend. Let's work on ankle mobility. Let's work on some hip mobility before I'm going to load your spine up. That's a hard conversation to have as well. So I really wanted to learn the skills to speak hard truths with so much love. And my clients really understood that I'm guiding them the right way, where I wish I had someone doing that for me just even a year ago.
Yeah. Absolutely. Gosh, there's so much there to, unpack. And I really love this conversation because it's so aligned with my philosophy, how I do things. And it's just, it's an important conversation. And, it's not easy as a coach when we take on clients who do want to lose weight and lose fat and change their body composition. And they have all these underlying issues and these body image issues or disordered eating, and a history of crazy metabolic health. And then they want the results today, and it's like, well, we could give them what they want, but then at what cost? And it's like, right. Sometimes it seems like we're trying to keep them on for longer. That's not the case, but it really is the fact that to do this the right way, it does take time. It doesn't take 8 weeks, 30-day challenges. It doesn't work like that. It takes a good minimum of 6 months minimum to 1 year to 2 years. I mean, I've been training for years now, right? But if I had done it the right way, I probably would have gotten to my goal faster. So that's the thing, right? I think it's that short-term mentality, short-term kind of, I want it now, but the time is going to pass, and then they're going to be here again next year feeling like crap and being in the exact same place, if not worse. So we really do have to keep fighting the good fight, really, in the industry, because we are the ones that are different. We're doing things differently, and I'm hoping, that it gets better and better, and I think it will. So
I do too.
Yeah, I think we're going in a good direction, rather. So okay, so I do think that I wanted to kind of stop here, and I wanted to end this episode with just wanting to know kind of like what your favorite life motto / favorite quote is. It's nothing, mysterious. It's just something that I like to ask my guests. So
yeah, I love that.
Just do you have one?
Yeah. I do have one, but I wanted to summarize with what you just said is like, so many of us have struggled with yo-yo dieting, binge eating, poor relationship with food, negative body image, sporadic consistency with the workouts.
Yes.
And so when they come to us, we have to enter a different kind of approach before we can enter a diet. But what I think I wanted to really touch on is that achieving maintenance is actually a huge progress flex. Because if we were just doing, and all we've ever done is yo-yo and end up in a worse spot, that's what I keep trying to tell my clients. So I try to get them, well, we're going to do a reverse diet and a maintenance phase for a minimum of 6 months. So when you come on board with me, I'm like, yes, there's a minimum of 6 months that you are not even going near a deficit. The longer you're out of a deficit, the better you're going to respond. I got to remind them of that. Like, I promise it's going to be worth it, boo-boo. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted to say that, like, maintenance is a massive progress flex. It still requires lots of effort and consistency, which is why I think it's not as rewarding, maybe, because we're not seeing that external justification of the scale going down or whatever. But that's what I wanted to summarize. And I'm getting delivery. And my quote is, what you focus on, you find. And it's really helpful because when I notice there's so much about what you pay attention to, you're going to continue to find over and over and over. So when we shift the mindset, you can also find the good. You can definitely shift. So what you focus on, you find. What you focus on grows.
and what you focus on, you ultimately become. And so just really helping me on like, well, if I'm feeling like crap, what am I focusing on right now?
Yes.
Probably looking for something to be, so it's never denying my feelings, because all feelings are valid, but just making sure that I'm like, I believe that the glass can be both empty and the other. Like it's both. And that's been really helpful, just seeing the feelings, but then moving on to a different feeling that feels better.
I love that. Gosh, that's some powerful, powerful stuff. Thank you so much, Megan, for your story. So where can people find you, your amazing self?
People can find me on Instagram. It's Megan, MEGAN _MeFit, like Megan MeFit, Megan MeFit. And then I have a blog. I post a little more like in detail, and that's meganmefitblog.com. So nothing fancy there.
Amazing.
And I'd love to connect with people that have any questions or resources, or like want to talk more about the resources I mentioned here. Thanks for your time tonight, babe. I really appreciate it. I'm really proud of you.
So much.
I'm really honored to know you as a coach.
Yes, thank you so, so much. Likewise, it's been an absolute pleasure. The episode has just blown me away, and I think it will really, really resonate with so many of my listeners. So thank you so much again. And guys, go follow Megan and go and support what she's doing. She's incredible, her story and what she's doing with her clients. So I'm going to be posting the links to all her pages in the show notes. So thanks again, Megan. Thanks again for listening, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye now.
Thanks, guys.